Hi friends, welcome back to another episode of Generation Films. My name is Alan, and today we're going to be bringing over a series we started on Generation Tech over to this channel. It's called How to Survive, and we take a deep dive into various dangerous scenarios in films and TV shows and break down the best way to survive. We'll be kicking off this series on Generation Films with our favorite most hated moon in the galaxy, Pandora, from Avatar. Just a reminder before we start. This video is not about being a hero or even being honorable. This is a video about being practical and preserving one's life above all else. We actually do encourage cowardice, because we care about all you people out there. Humanity does not need any heroes. Leave that kind of stuff up to the guys with plot armor. This video will be split up into 4 different categories. First, we'll be looking at the background of the battlefield, then the enemies that you might face, along with what kind of equipment and training you should bring, and finally ending up with what exactly you should do to survive. Pandora is the 5th moon of the gas giant Polyphemus, which orbits the star Alpha Centauri A. The Alpha Centauri star system is the closest one to our own local system, at only 4.3 light years away. Pandora's atmosphere is around 20% denser than ours and contains similar gases like oxygen, nitrogen, and carbon dioxide, but the carbon dioxide levels are too high for humans, and just 20 seconds of exposure can cause you to black out. There's also a high level of hydrogen sulfide on the planet, which is also very deadly. Pandora has roughly the same diameter as our own planet, but only 72% of its mass, and it also has 20% lower gravity. These 2 factors greatly affect how things evolved and move around on this moon. Pandora is covered in several different genomes, including narrow seas, mountains, jungles, forests, and plains. The fauna and flora on this planet are extremely diverse and much larger than what you would normally see on Earth. This could be due to Pandora's rich and dense atmosphere. It is rumored that some hidden neural network connects all life on this planet to some larger organic entity. Pandora also has an abundance of bioluminescent plants, far brighter than anything we have here on Earth. Beneath its surface, Pandora possessed an extremely rare metal known as unobtainium. It was a room temperature superconductor and could also project a strong magnetic field. The metal was also commonly used in the matter annihilation reactors that powered humanity's starships. Without unobtainium, humanity would not be able to build the ships necessary to make us into a true space-faring race. The locals on the planet, known as the Navi, were quite primitive, operating with Stone Age level technology. They had no use for unobtainium, but they did construct their houses and villages near or on top of large deposits of this metal. When the Resources Development Administration landed on Pandora seeking to mine this unobtainium, they naturally ran into some problems with the natives. The Navi were a hunting and gathering society which operated on a completely different wavelength from humanity. They were initially very hard to communicate with. The RDA eventually made some inroads and was even able to establish a school to teach young Navi human culture and the English language. But still, negotiating for mining rights with the Navi was next to impossible. The Navi on the planet numbered only in the millions despite the planet's large size and abundant resources. This meant that there was plenty of room for the Navi and humans to coexist peacefully, but Navi society had yet evolved beyond the tribal stage, and the idea of property rights were still quite alien to them. Plus, much of their spiritual belief systems were tied to worshipping trees and their roots, which meant that they were pretty attached to certain locations, especially in places with large unobtainium deposits. Now, it's unsure who started the first skirmish or fired the first arrow or bullets between the humans and the Navi, but soon after, the RDA convoys regularly came under attack by Navi warriors who were unhappy by humanity's presence on the moon. The RDA naturally retaliated and killed many of these hunters. Some of them were only teenagers. Although the Navi individually operated as tribes and certain tribes had better relations with the humans than others, the Navi hunters were now considered hostile and should be approached with caution. Although the Navi lacked technology and advanced society, they were extremely in tune with their surroundings. They even had evolved a biological tether of sorts that allowed them to connect and mate with each other and even animals. This kind of intimacy might seem weird to humans, and that's because it is. Humans don't mount a horse before they mount a horse. I mean, you could do that, but I'm pretty sure that's animal abuse or something. Thanks to the low gravity on the planet, the Navi can grow up to 12 feet or 16 kilometers in height and can weigh easily over 500 pounds or 10 kilograms. Their skeleton frames are actually reinforced with a carbon fiber-like material, making them extremely durable. Combined with the thicker air density on the planet, the Navi routinely jump down from the tree canopies, using only leaves and branches to slow their descent. The Navi also had a long tail, which helped balance them when they were climbing or jumping from tree to tree. At close ranges, the Navi were extremely deadly and many times stronger than a human being. The Navi also used primitive bows that were scaled up to their size, which means their bows were closer to the size of a ballista and fired arrows the size of spears, which is as terrifying as it sounds. If that's not bad enough, the Navi also had two distinct mounts that they rode into battle. First, there were the dire horses, which were six-legged mounts that resembled earth horses, but were closer to the size of an African elephant. They could reach a speed of around 60 miles per hour, or 2.3 metric light years per millimeter. Now, for aerial travel, the Navi relied on the mountain banshee. The Navi used their neurological connection to mate with the banshee during flight, which gave them a level of intimacy and control over what they were riding that most of us could never achieve, without burning ourselves on a hot engine manifold. First and foremost, always inspect your breathing equipment on Pandora. Without it, you were completely screwed within seconds. The standard issue exo pack consists of a full face mask that is sealed and a small pack which contains a battery and filter that scrubs out the high level of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. These filters can last around 2 weeks and can be cleaned by hand. Still, it's a good idea to bring a backup filter or battery or even emergency rebreather. The ExoPack faceplate is made out of Perspex, which is a pretty tough material, but bringing some vacuum tape to seal any potential breaches is still a good idea. Before we even get to fighting the Navi, if the variety of different terrifying predators don't kill you, the elements will. As we mentioned in our video where we covered trench warfare on Minbum, keeping your feet and your gear dry is pretty important if you want to prevent trench feet and other diseases. Pandora is a pretty humid planet, so dressing appropriately is very important. Always bring some backup socks and gear in case you do get wet. And also bring something like a hammock that can keep you elevated and off the ground at night. No one wants to be woken up by a viper wolf or a flash flood. Also, this might seem kinda silly, but there are clear signs that Pandora's environment is almost sentient and aware of your presence. Be respectful to nature and maybe he won't mess with you back. Fire at nighttime, contrary to what you might think, is a bad idea and can attract predators to you instead of repelling them. Brush up on your survival training and also try to learn about all the local flora and fauna so you know what exactly you can touch and what not to piss off. As a member of the RDA security squad on planet, aside from your exo pack, you'll also be given a standard loadout that most Earth militaries at the time would be deployed with, including an ammo and armor carrier, a rifle, and some basic survival equipment. The RDA uses standard firearms which are quite effective against the Navi and some of the smaller wildlife on Pandora. The RDA does equip its soldiers occasionally with repulsor pods which can keep away larger life forms, but it's always a good idea to carry a weapon that has a larger caliber round, just in case you run into a larger predatory animal like a Thanator. I would also recommend ditching your body armor. It's not like anyone's going to be firing bullets at you. And if you're going to get hit by a giant Navi arrow, there's really nothing that can save you anyway. Might as well save on the weight and carry more food and munitions. The most dangerous operations carried out by the RDA security forces would be the convoy support patrols. The RDA runs large bulldozers and hell trucks to pave new roads from the main RDA base to new unobtainium deposits. This naturally pisses off the Navi and usually attracts some negative attention from them. Usually the Navi will fire at an RDA convoy for sport, but sometimes more determined groups of hunters can stop and set entire convoys on fire, usually massacring any security forces guarding it. If you're unlucky enough to be sent on one of these patrols, I do recommend getting rated to operate an AMP exoskeleton suit. These giant walking mechanical tanks will give you additional armor, another layer of glass that will separate you from the dangerous atmosphere, and the giant blue monkeys trying to turn you into a shish kebab. Ideally, you're going to want to be assigned to the main RDA base on guard duty. The Navi generally are not stupid enough to bum rush the front gates of the main RDA base. Should you find yourself a part of a long-range patrol or an assault mission that takes you into the deep jungle, once again try to get yourself operating an AMP suit. It'll keep you alive a lot longer. And if you are on foot, stay close to the AMPs. They generally will attract and deter any large wildlife, and they can be used as cover against Navi arrows. Make sure you stay close to your group at all times and keep your eyes scanning the tree canopies. This is going to be a very vertical battle, and the enemy is uniquely adapted to swinging amongst the trees. If leading the patrol, try to stay away from heavy underbrush. Keep the area around you clear to lengthen your line of sight. A lot of animals in the Pandoran jungle will take a lot of rounds to take down. As a matter of fact, if I was in charge, I would avoid any kind of ground operations at all until a heavy amount of ordnance was first dumped on the landing zone. White phosphorus and napalm are pretty good at clearing away wildlife. Now, when you guys first arrive to Pandora, you might be stunned by the natural beauty and exotic landscapes, but make sure you do pay attention and have your senses with you, because this is a very dangerous place. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button so you don't miss out on the rest of this awesome series. As usual, my name is Alan, reminding you that life is a movie and you are the protagonist.